like a shark fin. Deepest blue is my hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest blue is my hat is like a shark's fin. Yeah, blue is my hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest blue is my hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest blue is my hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest blue is my hat is like a shark's fin.
You count down.
I pointed at you. And he
fucked it up. Welcome once again
Finger
to
gun to my director's move right there. But
anyway. Welcome once again to Cinema Synergy and our annual weekly bi-weekly fuck up.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fuck up. I've had a few. I'm sorry.
Alright, we'll do it.
We actually have a full schedule and a full table tonight. The whole crew is here. No.
Ah.
Wow, man.
How drunk are you?
I've had 3, but they've all had an ABV over 6.
Good job.
So you're drinking something stronger than water.
We're getting out of this. We have a pitch by Adria making her first appearance in a long time, which is fantastic. I'm excited
Hello
for
again.
this. We have an actual silver screen showdown tonight for the first time in a long time. Not the movie we're reviewing, but Hobo the Shotgun.
Did you watch it?
Watched it this morning after my
Jordan
work shift.
and
4
Ryan.
hours
This
of
should
sleep.
be fantastic.
We are the
I grabbed my cell phone. I watched it while I was still in bed.
This
on
should be
my phone.
fantastic.
On this side, we have the princes of Fucktown.
And on this side, we have people with taste.
That sums it up pretty well.
All right. And when we get through all of that, we're going to be talking about what was it, 1992?
She's a teacher.
Deep Blue Sea?
No.
99, Deep Blue Sea. LL Cool J, Samuel L. Jackson, and
Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane.
The Punisher.
The Punisher versus Shark.
That's
The
exactly what I
Punisher
wrote
and Nick
down.
Fury fight sharks.
Take a note,
That's
Marvel.
so
It might
forever.
sell some comics.
They may. And like I said, we've all had a few. This is going to be a good one, folks. Stay tuned. I'm going to turn it over to Adria for her pitch. We're all eagerly anticipating.
All right.
And then I'll
All
pitch
right.
my new pitch
so,
idea.
my pitch is a movie called Blow Dry. It's a comedy from 2001
Sing it,
starring
Mario.
Alan Rickman and Bill Nye. No, not the science guy. The guy who played Victor in Underworld. N-I-G-H, right?
Isn't
Yes.
it Nighty?
Yeah.
Nope, it's not.
Nay.
I actually looked it up. You're eating up my precious pitch time. A small English town is hosting a national hairdressing competition, which is apparently a huge deal for this town. Like, they go nuts over it. Alan Rickman is a retired competitive stylist, and his ex-wife, who secretly has cancer, is trying to persuade him to compete and face off against his longtime hairstyling nemesis, Bill Nye.
I keep thinking the science guy.
The stylist guy.
With the League of Assless Chaps.
This movie includes styled body hair, multicolored sheep, lesbians, corpses with mohawks, and Romeo and Juliet subplots.
I want it. I want this movie.
Lesbians. No, separate thing. Corpses with mohawks.
Oh, sorry, I just put
Not
the two together.
maybe lesbian corpses. I don't know. Anyway, I tuned into this movie. I watched this movie when Alan Rickman passed away because it was the only movie of his on Netflix that I hadn't seen yet.
Because that's how you wanted his last memory to be around. Stylist corpses.
I didn't know what I was getting into.
And
I didn't
Rainbow
really have
Sheep.
high expectations for this movie, but it surprised me. It's funny and surprisingly poignant, and it has an excellent cast. I mean, Alan Rickman and Bill Nye are just, you know,
They have a really
Heidi
high-
Klum was apparently in it too, but I don't remember who she was in it.
Natasha Richardson, Rachel Lee Cook. Like, I'm looking at the IMDb. This is not
Rachel Lee Cook.
It's written by the same person who wrote The Full Monty, and I'm a huge fan of that movie.
Such a
too.
good movie.
Ain't me. So that's my pitch. Go watch it. I mean, or not, but I would suggest you do.
No, the original anime.
All right, we'll have to.
There we are. And
Actually, that looks really good.
I'm sold.
I want to see it.
Despite my hypothesis that the more big names are in a movie, the worse it's going to be, I'm still sold on this.
And
So,
what was the name of it again?
Rainbow
Dry.
Sheep.
sorry.
Blow dry.
Blow Dry, not Rainbow Sheep.
Rainbow Sheep.
It's got Josh
Freaking
Hart.
Welshman. Okay.
We found out it's an Englishman. He might have settled in Wales though.
Who is it? Josh Hartnett. He was the Wolfman in
Oh!
So, are you guys ready for
So
our
good.
showdown, or do you want to do some Deep Blue Sea first?
No, I got shut up.
Dang, I
Shut up,
want to
Bruce.
see it.
Shut
So,
up.
musical
Oh,
chairs.
already.
Clue time.
Trav is actually moving out of the way.
I really want to see that.
These two are gonna stare each other down and fling some hobo with a shotgun hate at each other.
As usual, attacker goes first.
No.
Defender goes first.
Defender.
Alright, Lords of Fucktown. You're up.
The Princes of Fucktown.
As you will.
I'm gonna start it when you start talking. To be for the English.
For anybody, new viewer who doesn't know how this works, he's got 90 seconds to defend this movie as why it's a good movie worth watching.
Once he starts, I'll look at the time over there.
Followed by the truth.
Followed by 90 seconds.
Is it 3 chords in the truth, though?
Oh.
Musical pun.
When you're ready, sir.
He's gonna choose pizza.
He's gotta collect his thoughts.
He knows what he got into. Rutger Hauer being awesome.
That's exactly what it is.
Let people vote on who won.
That's a good idea.
I wonder if
yeah.
we can do that. We'll have to try it.
That would be
Should be
awesome.
pretty
Because in my mind,
Can we do a poll?
We
because
should.
in my mind,
We'll
I'm
try.
beating you every time.
However, both sides do. The other side is
Yeah,
wrong.
I'm sure in his mind,
Right.
he's successfully defended every piece of that garbage.
However, if he says Maze Sen, then I have to leave.
The point
Whatever.
is not necessarily which one of you is right, but which one of you did a better job.
That's the same thing.
I don't know if it is court popular opinion, but then again, we are going to put this up to a poll.
I love their blends on there.
Okay.
Him and a mirror arguing about hobo with a shotgun later.
So we'll argue about Shadowrun.
Another time.
There's nothing to argue about. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to argue about hobo with a shotgun either.
Plenty to argue about hobo with a shotgun.
Okay, so Hobo with a Shotgun. When I first saw it, it was one of like, it was just kind of like a revelation because there was a whole bunch of boring movies that I'd seen before that everything was just kind of like fucking ugly, weird, like bullshit. But this movie here it's eminently quotable. It's completely exciting. It's shot really well. It's very pretty to look at, even though it's grimy. It's a weird, grimy, nasty movie that looks a lot like a whole bunch of stuff that like came out like Trauma and like weird fucking like stuff in the like in the 80s and 90s. It's got that horrible like shit going on, but like all the colors in it are great. It's eminently quotable. Like there's just like crazy characters screaming crazy shit all the time. Turn this whore into a baby factory is one of my favorite fucking lines from the film. Go home and don't forget to wash your dicks. I fucking love that shit. I love the whole thing. Rutger Hauer he does a great performance as a crazy fucking hobo with a shotgun who just wants to mow lawns for a living. That's all he wants to do. But like the city he comes into is fucking horrifying. So he just has to end up like killing everybody. People making bum fight movies, kills them. Kills fucking like the weird like Santa Claus pedo. He just fucking murders everything. The bad guys at the end, the plague, are just fucking like insane. It's like one of the most bad news things I've ever seen in my life. So much fun. It's almost like a.
It's almost like 90 seconds.
Here we are.
We should have like a bell or a real gavel or something.
It's a terrible idea.
Oh,
Everyone in
God.
here, everyone in this like block will know what we're doing if we have a bell.
A gavel or a real
Especially
gavel.
after the third or fourth round of drinks.
They're staging street fights in Brazil now.
Bum fights.
Hey, we'll give you $20.
Did you bring a ham sandwich?
Eat it.
Okay.
Only when we're in
A
Seattle.
shotgun.
Okay.
No, for just bum fights.
Rebuttal.
No.
You gotta hear Ryan's wrong opinion.
Now for the
I'll be honest, you know what? I'm not that interested in it, but listening to you makes me more interested in it.
No, you're right.
Don't worry.
I'm just, just putting it out there.
Okay.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
Wait.
Alright.
We'll get to the
He's
even.
got a timer.
He's
got a timer.
After the rebuttal.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the quotableness because that is the best part about the movie is the one-liner. Its one-liner game is on point. Not gonna argue that. The problem though is that the rest of the movie is just not. The entire premise of this movie would be Justice Boner, and it fails to deliver. It needs justice by acting, basically. When these characters, when these villains get their upcomings, you feel nothing. This movie involves a pedophile Santa who is jerking off to kids on the playground, getting his head blown off, and I felt no satisfaction from this guy dying. And that sums up the entire movie. Every time a villain gets killed, every time you feel like you should be, yeah, fuck yeah. No, it's not there. And that's the problem with the movie, is that its entire premise that's supposed to be just a guilty pleasure, fun action trip, and it just fails. The action scenes are not fun to watch. They're not interesting. They're not engaging. It tries to just be over-the-top gore and swear with every other word, and it just falls flat like most stereotypical comics do when they rely too much on their trope for their entire gig with nothing solid underneath. And that's this movie. The movie style that it's trying to emulate is basically a relic of the past, and it doesn't update it. It relies too much on trying to it relies too much on
Plus
trying
2
to
seconds
be
time.
an artifact from the past without actually bringing that artifact into the 21st century, and that's why it falls flat. Like, it's just, time. I got interrupted.
That's why I said plus 2 seconds for Ryan.
And that's basically what it comes down to, is it feels like, not so much like how, for example, Kung Fury is like a nostalgia trip of a flick.
But I don't like Kung Fury as much as I like Hobo.
I love Kung Fury. I love the hell
One
out
of the
Kung
things
Fury.
actually I want to bring up for it as a counterpoint,
Yeah.
for the whole like everything feels hollow, that's kind of fitting with the tone of the film.
But
It's,
that just brings into what I was saying, where like old grindhouse films were basically over-the-top violent and over-the-top sexy because this new moving picture concept
Yeah.
was a neat thing, and let's see how far we can push it.
I'm
well,
saying-
we've pushed it, and now that's not enough.
I'm just tying it in with the dystopian feel of everything, that just punk feel of like anything good won't end well. So
One
even
thing
when
that I do want to
It
bring up.
doesn't feel dystopian.
Yeah, it
to
doesn't
me.
feel so-
I look at those cities,
I'm
I'm
just
just
crappy.
I'm
It
not
doesn't feel
sure
dystopian.
this is intentional. I'm not sure that it is. If it is, then mad props to the director, but I really don't think that it is. So basically, like I was saying, the movie feels hollow. And like you're just totally desensitized to it. Whereas I would never in a million years watch this movie like with my parents.
Right.
Like at all.
I would.
Or like
I would neither.
But,
have different parents.
but for the most part, like I wouldn't watch this with quote unquote respectable members of society.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
just wouldn't.
So not my parents.
Exactly.
I would not watch it with my parents.
The hero of this movie is an older guy.
Right.
And every other character in this movie, with the exception of Drake, is a younger person. So it's kind of like showing how the city, the society, and everything made up of youth are okay with what's going on. And it's kind of like almost like this weird commentary on modern society, how nothing bothers the kids these days. You've got like the sex going on the TV, on the NBC, and no one thinks twice about it. And gosh golly, you know, these people should be ashamed of what they're doing. And this older guy from generations past comes in to set things right. I don't think that's 100% intentional.
I don't think it's intentional at all.
Yeah,
honestly.
like I think they just picked the actor that fits the role and made it work. But it's kind of like this weird take on the older generation and the older style taking on the over-violenced and over-sexualized present.
Right.
And kind of trying to bring back those old morals. That's the only thing I'm going to give it, and unfortunately, it's purely coincidental.
I'm looking at it as
Millennials are
sociological.
killing the hobo movies.
I'm
We're all
I'm
different.
looking at it as a sociological standpoint of just getting into like noir movies, even though it doesn't even touch noir territory. The ending is very noir, and the whole, all of the good that was done, nothing ultimately changed.
No,
Yeah, but
everything
it's
can
not
change.
It was-
noir enough that I feel that you can even qualify
But even then,
as
like,
noir
punk
trope.
gets into
But-
that
and
noir
everything's
feel
gonna change
of
with the
nothing
internet.
good ends good. It's just
But like I
More
said though,
bleakness.
like Drake dies, I feel nothing.
Really?
I feel nothing. Like
Which-
I don't feel
I love it.
satisfied that he died.
You may just be emotionally damaged.
I'm not.
no. It actually ties into a trope in a lot of action movies and stuff where you've gotten revenge. What now?
But like,
What will fill that hole?
You have two
That's the
guys,
character experience, not
not the
audience.
viewer.
Even
You
then,
have-
the justice
you have
is
two
being
guys
done, but it's
that-
empty.
You have two guys that literally go on a school bus with a flamethrower,
Which is awesome.
and
I fucking
cook
love that
all the
scene.
children.
Do you
Okay.
guys like hobos?
Yeah. You have two
And then
villains.
later, he gets shot in the dick, and then the school bus comes back
And
and
it
chases him down.
Welcome to justice. It will change nothing after the
And
fact.
that's the problem with the movie. The whole premise of this movie is justice erection. And when they get their justice,
It's hollow.
it's
Well, the
fully
movie's-
hollow.
Welcome to what turned me off of
it's-
criminal justice.
But it's not supposed to be. The movie builds it up like you're supposed to feel gratified that
No.
these people get theirs, and you just don't.
I think the movie's supposed to be nihilistic, though. I think
Yeah.
like, it's
I
kind of
think
supposed to be like
that
a.
nihilistic.
I think it's supposed to
And
be like
this-
a descent into hell, right? Like this hobo just kind of comes there. He's gonna fucking pick up some cans or whatever. And he's got a dream.
I
And,
feel like the movie's supposed to just be like guilty trip action
Right.
and
Well, it is
violence.
guilty trip action.
It is.
But it's
A
not-
nihilistic
it's not
guilty trip.
That's why
action
though.
and
So
violence,
when
right?
it doesn't deliver on guilty trip action, it fails in its premise.
It just
But, like,
doubled
the
up
thing
on
is-
nihilism at that point.
Like they go to this town. The hobo goes to this town, right?
Sharks.
Obviously,
We talked about this is supposed to be like the side piece, the introduction.
obviously, we're not going to come to a conclusion on this tonight. Future installments to
Right.
come.
We're just gonna
Differing
keep debating
world
hobo in the
I know.
shotgun.
Differing
We have a lot
world.
for a reason on that.
We will go and chalk this up. Differing worldviews.
Yeah, I mean that's why I didn't like this movie because I think it was too nihilistic.
Did you see hobo?
Whereas I'm at that point of nihilism where it's like, okay.
For my 2 cents, this movie felt like a World of Darkness game run by a 13-year-old who just learned what edgy is.
I would have loved the shit out of that movie when I was 11.
Yeah.
And then I would have felt bad about loving it when I was 21.
No offense.
This movie
I'm okay
made
with
me-
that though.
This movie made me not as physically nauseous as Feast 2 and 3, but
I don't think anything
it's
could.
nothing could. I always threw up.
But did it make you as
It-
nauseous as Sharknado?
Sharknado does not make me
kind of
physically nauseous. Sharknado
Mentally.
makes me emotionally and mentally sad. Like, definitely.
But speaking of sharks,
Speaking of sharks,
One thing
I
I forgot
forced
to
the
mention,
segue.
tonight is a very special episode. This is Ryan's birthday episode here.
and I didn't get to choose
For those who missed it last week.
And when I say birthday, I mean scissor.
32 years, right?
Yes.
32 long years.
Loving sharks.
Loving sharks and weather patterns.
did he love sharks when he was like an infant?
You'll have to ask his mom.
Had this little shark mobile that spun around.
I
and
had no
And that's where the Sharknado came from.
Oh God! Oh God!
Like, I feel like you guys conceptually do not understand how much I hate the Sharknado series. No, we do.
About
They do, because they gained some sort of like sick, twisted amusement from the game regarding Sharknado. But I think the rest of you who have not been in the room when I watched a Sharknado movie understand how mad those movies make me.
I will take it as an extrapolation of how mad drift culture movies make me.
Parasite or ginger.
Here's my thought.
Parasite or ginger.
We're getting off
Yeah,
topic
put it
here.
on the
But one of these next weeks we record, you and Ryan debate Sharknado and Silver
It's
Street.
just gonna be it won't be a debate because Ryan will agree with all her points. It's just that Jenny hates it for them and he loves it for them.
But it's honestly
I was
a
gonna say,
terrible
what's
debate.
the quote? Everything you hate about it, I love about it. But anyhow.
That's actually fairly close.
Fortunately for Jenny and my own sanity, we're not talking about Sharknado tonight. We're talking about 1999.
The Punisher versus Sharks.
Cease of hating Sharknado.
You do.
I like
So
people
for
think.
the 5 of you that didn't see this movie,
I wish I had.
it's not that.
Really? Really? You didn't like it?
I liked it, but not in the way that I should have liked it.
You didn't like Deep Blue Sea?
I was sitting there going like, okay, this person's gonna die, this person's gonna die, and this person's gonna
That's
die.
not necessarily.
I only got half my wish list.
Successful movie.
No! I'm watching a horror movie. I have a wish list of it. This person's gonna die
That's
this way.
racist.
No.
Yes.
Thomas Jane was gonna die too.
Or is that? But alright. Alright, do your intro, Trav. I'm sorry.
Because it was
It's
pre-Punisher.
gone.
99.
99.
Red balloon.
That's about nuclear war.
99 problems and Ryan is definitely one.
Hey,
It's his
you still have to
birthday.
be nice to me for 37 minutes.
Okay.
We have to be nice to
You're a
you.
delightful
It's my
guy.
birthday.
Yeah, I bought you a drink and gave you a gift.
And you have to be nice to me.
I didn't know the last part.
It's the only thing.
Eventually, we'll get to this movie, folks.
Bye.
For the 5 of you that haven't seen this movie, it's a bunch of researchers at the ocean who have genetically modified sharks to help combat and find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. Naturally, things go wrong and the sharks get super intelligent.
And swim
Well, that's not
backwards.
that things go wrong. Things go wrong.
Is it
Also, the sharks are super intelligent,
Things go
and
wrong
those two things.
because the sharks are super intelligent.
The things go wrong before the sharks go super.
This movie is kind of Jaws meets Jurassic Park.
That's a good description.
That is a good description.
Yeah.
That's because they drew a lot of Jaws, Escape, and plus the.
This whole movie is a
Yeah.
love letter to Jaws 1, 2, and 3, and they pull a lot of other stuff directly from.
I'm way too drunk to articulate words.
Okay, so the movie also,
I love you, Jacob.
because
so
it's
much.
because it's like Jurassic Park, late '90s horror, you definitely saw a lot of like escapism horror,
Yes.
where you're like locked in a
They
building,
jumped the fence.
kind of concepts, stuck in a facility, trapped in the house with the zombies. I mean, like
Trapped on the island with the dinosaurs.
trapped on the island with the dinosaurs. Like this was just the thing in the late '90s for horror for whatever reason, and this movie capitalized on that.
Jurassic Park, everybody's like, okay,
Yeah.
clone that.
It really did.
Clone that Jurassic Park clone.
Um,
I understand that like this is a horror movie, but
I mean, it's technically a horror.
it's only like
It's a
I wish there was a
suspense.
good label like for
Yeah,
this
it's
stuff.
it's not scary.
Shark movie.
But like,
Suspense horror?
I don't consider
Shark's
this a
not a
horror
macro
movie.
genre.
I consider this a natural disaster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
A
like
man-made
this,
natural
and, like,
disaster.
Jurassic Park
Like
and
global
other
warming.
like implacable predators, escaping from implacable predators movies. Like not Jason Voorhees, but like animal predators.
Like The Predator?
No. Like Predator is also technically a horror movie, but I also don't consider it a horror movie. Like when someone says horror movie, I think serial killer or like
yeah, absolutely.
paranormal. So it's technically a
Jordan
horror
would
movie,
get
but I'm it's like
Ryan
loosely a
would get
horror
it.
movie, I feel.
Deep Blue Sea feels very much to me in this, like the tone of the movie feels in the same genre as like Twister and Earthquake and all those
Yeah,
other
sort of
single
like-
name movies about
Sort of
natural
like escape
disasters.
from an
Implacable.
implacable, unknowable.
It's a trope.
Uncontrollable.
The Implacable Man.
Yeah, no, I like that.
This movie taught me that storms and sharks don't mix. Period.
You learned that like 10 years before Jenny learned it.
Have you not seen Sharknado? Like,
Only number one.
So
We're just
if you
gonna keep it
somehow
squirrely.
managed to not see Sharknado, what god is there?
I gotta ask though, was this an MTV movie? Because it felt like an MTV movie.
No, it's
MTV.
This is before MTV
It's actually
movies.
like a big budget production.
Yeah, it's a real good.
That's why they had Samuel L. Jackson.
I don't know, it felt like an MTV
Sounds like an
movie.
afford-
Why are you pointing at me?
You were just talking.
Ah!
Sam Jackson signed on to this.
Speaking of Sam Jackson, so this movie, Sam Jackson dies in it relatively early.
Actually, just about
Trailers
halfway, I was
spoiled
keeping track
this.
of the time.
Pretty much
Yeah.
exactly
Well,
the halfway point.
It did the same approach with that Scream did. Sam Jackson was at the time the largest actor on Cast.
And
He
arguably
was,
still
he
is.
was the big name actor. He still is. He was the big name actor that they signed. So he was expected to be like the hero throughout the movie, and then he gets murked halfway through it.
Yeah, he's
One of the
halfway 'cause
interesting
it's-
things-
Which is the same thing Scream did.
Interesting thing for it. Originally, Sam Jackson applied for the role that LL Cool J took, and then his agent said
Yes,
this was too little of a role for Sam Jackson, so they rewrote the script to create Sam Jackson's character
he's like-
and killed him.
Yeah,
That makes sense because
Also-
he seems weird there. Like,
Yeah.
what is he doing?
They
Now,
revised
I want
it.
Sam Jackson.
Well, when you look at it, there's 9 writers for this movie, and I'm right now ripping off all the notes Trav had earlier on this evening. But there are 9 writers for this movie. It went through that many revisions.
and Sam Jackson's character, like they said, he was definitely supposed to be somehow in the, like we said, he was supposed to be in there. They said one of the big things is like he did this movie because he could go play golf. He's like they do his takes and then he'd go play golf in between. Like he just chill out. He's like whatever. Like
That's why they killed him.
yeah, no, like I guess the plan was that was one of the big things that they told him. That was originally their plan is that they had said we want to go in like this very stereotypical disaster, natural disaster, horror film trope where you have the heroic character who's going to get everyone's shit together, and we want to like rip that out from under the audience and the characters. So he knew. So he was like, yeah, sure, cool. I'm just going to play some golf every once in a while. But I'm like, whatever.
What I was expecting was Thomas Jane's character to die, because by the end he would have been established as the character. I was actually expecting the Doctor to live, just for that
She
whole...
was okay. You heard the intro. Okay, go
Yep,
ahead.
but the whole setup of being the evil scientist escapes and has learned nothing. So this experiment will be repeated in the future just to go and show the futility of man.
I 100% believe that she would do it again.
Yep.
I believe she's learned nothing. I disagree with the definition of her as evil.
They took out scenes that made her look more sympathetic, so that audiences would dislike her more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
On that
because you
note,
heard about
sequel
the
coming
focus
out
group.
2018. Look for it. Nice.
You heard about the focus group, right?
Yes.
That she originally was
Like
supposed to
the
let
one
Alex
girl
go.
that died in the one shaft was originally pregnant before they cut those scenes out.
Also true. There were also scenes deleted, springboarding off of what I said, but deleted scenes, that the short-haired blonde girl and the doctor who gets his arm bit off were
A couple.
Skarsgård, what's his name?
Yeah.
Alan Sargent, Will Turner's dad.
And,
Sturgy Jurgensen.
she was
He's a Danish actor, plays a lot of villains.
And they removed it because they didn't like the concept of killing a pregnant character.
Disposable
There
gender.
is still
And-
enough mentioned in there. Like, for example, it's hard to hear the dialogue. But
Yes.
when they're lifting her out, she does say, I love you to
Right.
him. And stuff like that. So there is a
Right,
little
so
bit of a
like,
hinting, but
there's the
They
elements
kiss-
of that
they kiss at
art
one point.
are still in there, and it makes way more sense that she has like her mental breakdown
Yes.
after he gets hurt.
yes. She is definitely the most fucked up out of the group in that after he dies.
And then she shortly dies
Who
thereafter.
all,
That's fair.
overall, who liked this movie?
Oh,
Eh.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate
It's
it,
okay.
I didn't
hate
enjoy it.
I like it. I'll say I like it.
I liked it the first time I watched it.
I was ambivalent to the movie in the end.
I liked this movie before I met you, but with your enthusiasm now, I love this movie.
I like this movie for a lot of reasons, but my favorite reason is that how hard it subverts
Right.
one big trope.
No, absolutely. It subverts a lot of tropes.
That actually is what I enjoy about
It plays a lot of them on top of their head.
But like
Yes.
the big trope in horror movies, especially in the late 80s and the 80s,
Black guy dies first.
Black guy dies first.
Black guy does not die.
Black guy does not die first, and the black guy who was originally supposed to die was considered more sympathetic than her, and they rewrote the ending.
That's why my
Hang
kill
on,
list
let's
was
see.
everyone except the evil doctor, just to go and show, hey, we're kind of that fucked up where this experiment will get repeated again.
But I think you're reading way more nihilism into this movie than ever was there.
That's just where I
Awesome.
exist.
So I'm
Is
curious,
that level of nihilism?
who was like or didn't like the movie?
No one, I mean,
I was
okay, Doug
Because
Brown-
I was the only
Like,
one.
it's okay.
I
You
liked
might see
it
that
enough that I
before.
went out and bought the DVD after it was done in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't.
And then it
yeah,
sat
I
on your
was
shelf.
not on board with it, honestly.
I
was
love-
kind of surprised. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Wait,
I felt like.
that was not the appropriate use of nihilism.
Okay, I felt.
No.
Okay, I felt like it didn't commit one
Because
way or
I've
the
read
other.
Nietzsche.
It wasn't super
Not
silly,
today,
and it
level,
wasn't
and-
super serious, and the toting the line there just never felt quite right. Like they would have a serious line with them,
Or that, or I just
like it
don't
reminded me a lot of the Poseidon, not the Poseidon Magic, but
After
the
the
Poseidon.
whole
But then like LL's Cool J would come on and say some like
You ate my fucking
weird
bird.
stuff that
I'm
like
done. Brothers
did-
never make out of this situation.
Yeah, like
Never.
I guess
But
I
she's
just
right though.
I guess I just didn't find his character funny.
Hey,
so,
Carter,
like,
bring me some sushi.
his comedic relief was never a comedic relief for me.
The question is, what
It was
was
kind of
counted
just
as
like,
funny?
alright, you know, I get what
You
they're
saw it in
doing.
1999.
Honestly, best case scenario, I was expecting a frickin' John Carpenter's The Thing end, where they're laying there on the dock. No, where they're laying there on the dock. going-
chairs, he was a shark.
Where they're laying there on the dock at the end going, we're sinking, aren't we? Yeah, but there's no cutter in the distance, and it's just them being left exposed to the elements.
At best, they were gonna have a day because they totally
Yep.
said we go to a weekend shift be cut down. And that's the thing that I want to think about this. I just forgot. It was already Sunday when this movie wraps up. So at best, you were talking about a day, maybe 6 hours.
A day with severe injuries to the legs. Specifically, one guy already lost a
But it's
lot of
already
blood.
daylight.
But you could also have people returning because they put out the emergency call, which never had a response.
But there was a squall out there that took out a copter. I was expecting actually a cutter being
That's
dispatched.
why, like, there could have
But
been
the possible, like,
just
that much
because
time
of, like,
passing,
the
infection from the water and the injuries, I'm sitting there going, they're probably both going to lay there and die at the end, a la the thing.
I don't think.
26-foot shark, you shoot me?
Yeah, it wasn't 26, it was like 46.
It's like way larger than a mako.
It was actually a thing. Because the shark in Jaws was 25 feet long, they had to go one up on it. It was 26 feet long.
Yes.
Makos don't get that big.
I wanted to.
That's because
I
they're
also
engineered.
don't swim backwards. No shark.
No sharks do.
Apparently.
I wanted
It
to.
screws with their breathing.
I did want to say a couple things that I did like about it because it wasn't like I hated the movie or anything. The LL Cool J stuff didn't really make me laugh, or I didn't enjoy that necessarily. But the thing that was super, super funny to me was the giant explosions. Like, way more explosions than necessary. See, like, I was expecting a movie like that where the entire time.
Michael Bay, Steve.
was
Michael Bay.
Just so many giant explosions.
Somewhere in the 1990s,
I was-
Michael Bay got an erection.
I was watching with my dad, and we were just laughing at that. And I wanted more of that in this movie. I thought it was going to be a funny movie, but it, like I said, it kind of toted that line. Also, the Sam Jackson kill.
Rousing speech.
That was,
and
yeah,
then
the
his
kill.
teaching.
That was another really funny. I enjoyed that.
Yes,
moment.
yeah.
That was really
This
good.
movie has
I
some
wanted
of-
more funny moments. I guess.
This movie has some of my most favorite of all time quotable moments in it. Early on when the girl's introducing the doctor and it's like, that's the most brilliant man alive. And Sam Jackson's like, he's pissing into the wind. How brilliant can he be? That is a line that has never left me since it came out. So, like, loved that line. And also, LL Cool J's explanation of the theory of relativity has never left me.
That was pretty good.
It actually is like one of the most
Accurate.
basic, brilliant, accurate, too long didn't study descriptions of the theory of relativity.
I didn't even go to class.
I don't remember it. You put your hand on a hot pan, a second feels like an hour. You put your hands on a hot woman, an hour feels like a second. Relativity.
I won't argue with that.
There you go. So, and then it got
I love LL Cool J.
I said I won't argue with that.
I loved LL Cool J in this movie. I don't know if anyone else like shares my enthusiasm, but for me, he was the hero. He was like, I was just like sitting there watching like, LL, I love you. Like,
I expected him to
the
get.
ladies do love Cool J.
I completely expected him to die by random happenstance.
I was so happy.
Just
he
like,
brought that
oh,
shark
and at this
back.
point the struts give out and he dies.
I was reading some like trivia on it. Not only was like his character not originally meant to survive, he was supposed to die in that shark attack, and the test audiences were so against the doctor.
Yeah.
They got LL Cool J to survive and let the doctor die.
Yeah.
They were also saying LL Cool J was literally the hardest worker on that entire set. Like he was like all the other actors. Like this is one of the first movies he did, moving out of rapper into actor.
Yeah.
And like everybody else was bitching, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do my own stunts. I'll stand in the water for 6 hours. What do you guys need me to do?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that you can kind of feel that, like that he was
The
like
enthusiasm.
really, he was really like, "I'm gonna do this." I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
do
can
a
feel
job."
it in the performance, like coming through.
Yeah,
I like the guy. I like LL Cool J. I just didn't like his character. I didn't think he was all that funny. I thought the weird, like, he was a preacher, I guess.
No,
but,
I think
like,
that he was. They called
I don't
him
know.
a preacher.
I just didn't really
He was
like it.
very religious.
Yeah.
And I honestly
He
loved.
literally had been a preacher.
He was a
Because they
preacher.
said, oh, he was on the pulpit for many years.
I
or
liked his
something like
line
that.
about where they were all before they blow the airlock, and they're like, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The Lord is with me, because I am the big stick, and I am the biggest motherfucker.
That was
I'm
pretty
the scariest
good. That was
motherfucker
pretty
in the
good.
valley."
That was good. I laughed at that.
I was like, I like that kind of proactive nature.
Yeah.
He had the most inventive, like,
Oh my god, that's not inventive. That's stupid.
And he comments on the irony. He goes, "You think I'm gonna be a cook in the oven?" Like, he comments on the irony.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here just with the physics set of spark gas.
Listen,
Okay,
if you're gonna worry about
You
the
got
science,
physics to back up.
Real
I have
quick
an
here.
issue with that suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
I wouldn't argue with words.
Real quick here, that scene in the oven, when he gets behind the shark and goes to blow him, he pulls out a Zippo, 2 strikes and it lights.
Yeah, no,
I have done a real
fine.
test. 10 seconds in the water, 30, 40, 50 strikes, and then it lights.
My argument is, if you're willing to do a suspension of disbelief on those goddamn sharks, give LL Cool J the spider.
26 feet long, 30,000 pounds. That's
Mako,
4 times the size of a
sharks.
Mako.
It's not sharks can't swim backwards because they can't breathe. It's like trying to fly an airplane backwards. They're literally designed to not be able to do it.
I'm
So
just
I'm
saying
gonna
this,
do
I was
this-
just saying it also screws up their ability to breathe at that point.
That's not true.
Okay.
That actually has been disproven, weirdly enough.
I did not know that.
See, this is my weird, like, Googling Mako sharks because I was like, what the
And
fuck
also
kind
due
of
to
shark?
Sharknadoes.
No, like, that weirdly enough is not a thing. But they said
Sharknadoes are totally
they're not. I hate you. It's not a
Dog file.
Also, the line about they're not getting cancer. Sharks can get cancer.
Yeah.
The regeneration. They can,
I knew that.
like, it's based on a lot of fake science.
That's what's wonderful about it. There's so much pseudoscience that, like, it's just enough to make you go, okay, makes sense, I'll take your word for it. You're a
It's like,
trustworthy
I used to
Hollywood
own one of those flip-top Zippos.
Were you gonna
When it was dry, if I could get a light on 5, 6 strikes, I was lucky. Doug was there some of the days I used to use it.
There's like that movie with super smart sharks who are like plotting to take down a place. Like,
And that's something
don't
I need
worry
to
about
prepare
the
for.
However-
You're overthinking it, Greg.
However,
I need to prepare for super smart sharks that want to eat me.
Yeah.
They're hurting you to collapse the pen
So they can
to the
eat
deep
me.
blue sea.
this is a weird criticism that I just thought of it right now. Maybe you don't like the movie as much, and here's why the suspension of disbelief is going wrong on you, right? Because,
Thomas Jane didn't have an automatic weapon.
well, like what I'm thinking of is I hate the third Nolan Batman movie a lot,
Yes.
right? The Batman
Dark Knight
Rises.
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. Fucking despise it, okay?
But it is good.
And one of the things about that movie is,
And Nuke would have still taken out the city.
yeah, like I'm going through this movie and I'm thinking of all this weird shit that's wrong. I'm like, how did he get from Uzbekistan to back to fucking like Boston in like 10 minutes? You know, what happened there? Like, why don't those cops in the sewer have guns?
There's a certain
Why do
level
they-
that's accepted for a suspension
Yeah.
of disbelief before you're begging it at that
But
point.
here's the thing: if you're bored, you're gonna analyze that shit.
Which, welcome to me every 5 minutes.
Yeah, so there you go. That's why the suspension of disbelief
Did we
didn't work in
talk
this
about
movie.
the Jaws parallel?
No.
Well, okay, so
I'm gonna pee. Do that.
okay.
Thanks for sharing.
I'll
man.
go and analyze my
Captain
house.
TMI. The 3 shark deaths in this run parallel with the way that sharks in Jaws 1, 2, and 3 die.
Right.
Blowing up,
Ooh, meta.
electrocution, fireball.
Right.
You would know. What other parallels are there? There's got to be more.
Well, like
Besides sharks.
Jaws 3D, the shark breaks out of the fucking like the tube in the underwater water park and fucking eats that guy. So there's one. Trying to think of the
I'm
others.
surprised there's not as many.
Where the shark comes up and has the pregnant lady by the cooter.
You just said that.
That was the most cringeworthy scene for me when I saw that happen.
Yeah, but that I don't know if it was from 1, 2, or 3, but I vaguely remember there being a death like that in one of the Jaws movies.
Right. I think I might have
Jaws 1. I don't know if it was in the actual movie, but in like the promos, there's the girl who goes out and goes swimming and starts getting dragged and thrashed around.
Oh yeah.
They kind of did that again with LL Cool J towards the end.
That's true.
Face time.
I think again that might be my problem where I feel like the suspension of disbelief. Like I am all for a movie where we're just going in at it, no matter what. But like I felt like it was taking itself seriously honestly, but then it was doing really like, wait, what is going on here? And I don't know, I guess I just couldn't, I couldn't figure out what I was watching throughout pretty much the entire thing. By the
Deep
end,
Blue Sea, starring Thomas Jane and...
Although you may see some similarities.
I guess that's the thing. I was maybe expecting something sillier, and so therefore, oh yeah, we're treating Alzheimer's
It's
by
delicious. I
like
think you're
opening
gonna
up
like
this old Navy thing, like okay, well sure, we can. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a couple of those flaws for.
And then like something crazy would happen, like those major explosions, and you're like, oh okay, great, we're gonna go into this territory, and then they wouldn't, and just, I don't know. I wasn't
Two consistent flaws for late 90s horror movies.
Yeah,
One,
I don't
they
like
take
Paramount.
themselves super
Yeah.
seriously for no good reason. And two, there's no skin payoff ever.
There's no boobs in this movie.
There's no boobs.
I
White
didn't
underwear.
realize
It's
that.
all right.
Also the sad fact. That's not what I'm looking for in a film.
I also watched Hocus Pocus today, and
Good
that
choice.
has a very.
I
We
Did
know
it cast
exactly
a-
how silly it's gonna be from the very beginning.
Did it cast a spell on
I've
you?
never seen it before today, and I was
Really?
like, I've never seen it before today, and I was like, why have I not seen this before
I've seen
today?
that movie. You haven't.
Because it's
We should
super
watch that.
silly
Holy
and
shit.
lovely.
I've watched it a lot.
Halloween.
You should, it's
Halloween.
fun.
Does this have something to do with the skin payoff? Because I don't remember any tips.
There are no boobs in either movie.
This was a time when you still kind of wanted to see Sarah Jessica Parker.
If one of y'all saw
No.
boobs in your Hocus Pocus, please tell me about that edit, because I missed that one.
That was the parody.
To see that edit? No.
Yes,
No, the official title would be, this is totally not Hocus Pocus, a triple X parody.
It works
This
how
ain't-
quickly you can assemble a triple X parody title. Couple of things that, like, the biggest criticism of the movie that I see is like, why the fuck were they doing this in the middle of the ocean and not in like a tank in Arizona?
International waters.
No! This is
Legality.
actually weird. No, it has nothing to do with legality. It's weirdly enough they paid attention to their science. No one has been able to keep a mako shark alive in a tank for more than 5 days. They literally battle themselves.
So
to
you
death
bring
on the
up a
side.
question, bait us with it, and then answer it.
Yes, that's what I'm here for.
Tease.
But it's really interesting. Like, basically, they said like as much as the science is shaky, like you probably would not be able to keep a mako alive while in a tank. In real life, they've never been able to keep one alive for more than 5 days. It beats its head to death on the side.
It's
of the
such
tank.
a predator that it
Yeah.
has to be out free.
So putting it in the ocean, at least it
So
balances
Hillary
the
Clinton
ocean.
would decry.
If you put Ryan in the tank, would he beat himself to death on the side?
I have a question. I have a question
Not right, not wrong.
that maybe you guys can answer because I didn't catch the answer to it. They were mentioning there was like a first generation.
There's two first
Gen
gen
one
and
and
second
Gen
gen.
two.
So like,
The second gen
how
lived the
long have
longest.
they been out there? Like
life.
long enough to like have a shark baby
Long
that's
enough for-
then, like
Life
full
cycle of
grown?
sharks.
I don't think it was a shark baby. I think it was the first round of experimentation.
Oh,
And the second round of
okay.
experimentation.
When I hear
That's the
generation,
original.
No,
I
it's
think
literally
it's
Gen 2
like literally
because
like.
Gen 2 was born of Gen 1.
Yeah, never mind. Claire was right.
So what's the life cycle on a mako shark? What's the maturity rate?
It doesn't necessarily have to be the maturity rate if they tested on.
Does it matter? It's
already
history's oldest
mature
killer.
Sharks.
Like
No,
honestly,
but I guess Gen 1, literally Gen 1, male, female Gen 1 hooked up made it female Gen 2.
the answer is, did you like this movie or
Gestation.
not? Because if you did, then it doesn't
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
The
It
science
doesn't
is
matter.
bullshit.
Exactly. No, I was just curious because like, I was waiting for some sort of
Gestation
explanation.
period of a mako shark, 15 to 18 months.
Wow, that's long. How long is it before? I mean, technically, since they were genetically experimenting, the mako, the Gen 2.
Litters of 4 to 18 pups.
Oh, shit.
And isn't it one of the species of sharks where actually the pups will eat each other in vitro?
They reach maturity at 8 years of age.
So that the Gen 2 might not have been mature, but it was genetically manipulated, so there's no guarantee that wasn't a mature shark.
But also one
I
of
was
the things
just curious.
is,
I mean, it
it's
doesn't
long
matter.
enough.
It obviously doesn't matter.
it
but
was
just
long
curious.
enough the Chimera Corps was looking to pull their funding all
Well, a
together.
lot of the
pulling the funding though is because of the shark escape, which they never actually fully address. But it sounds like at least Thomas Jane, the Punisher. I've never seen the Punisher.
It's an awesome movie. It's
pretty good.
He thinks that the one gentleman that got out jumped the fence.
That's because Makos actually will do that. They're one of the only species of sharks that will actually jump out of water to get a prey.
That would have been a good point in the movie to insert.
There are actually recorded instances where a shark will jump over a boat to knock someone
The beginning
over.
of that movie is the only time it feels like a horror movie.
Yeah, you're not
And
wrong.
then it changes, but that beginning is so horror movie like centric.
I guess maybe that's another thing. I really love that first scene. And I wanted more kids on boats getting eaten by sharks.
So you want a more traditional
yeah.
So you want a Jaws.
Yeah, and I didn't get that. So I think I just had expectations that weren't being met, and so therefore I didn't like it. I feel like if I watched it again, knowing what it was, I probably would enjoy it a lot more. But I didn't really know the movie at all. I knew that Samuel L. Jackson was in it, and the movie that I saw, most recently with him in it was Snakes on a Plane. So I was expecting that type of, and it was just a little bit more serious than that. So it was a little more serious than I wanted.
Actually, tying back into that,
Everything
it
was
was
serious
one of
in
the
Snakes
most
on a Plane.
jarring
Right,
things about the
exactly.
finale of the movie is this is a Mako shark. A shark that is known for its ability to jump out of water. So, the mesh below water is titanium. Above it, it was chain link fence.
Steel, but yes, okay, what's your argument?
And they already bring up the sheer amount of tonnage that shark can bring up when it is swimming full speed.
It was breaking like solid.
Yeah, it was
steel
breaking
fence.
bulkheads. No, one go, boom, chain
Yeah.
link's gone.
But first off, it's still that with their whole thing. That's the whole tonnage thing that I have a problem with. But they have to show that thing still has to make multiple hits on the steel.
That's at that point where science is completely out the window.
Second, once you hit the air, your friction coefficient radically differs.
The
So it's not-
velocity's still going though.
Yeah, but your friction is still, you're not going to have nearly as much force in the water as you do on the air for a creature that is designed to be in the water. If I go down underwater and try to punch a fence.
Speaking of creatures designed to be in the water, the thing was awfully chill for something that was brought out of the water for like 15 minutes. While
That's it, the tiger shark? Yeah, absolutely wrong. That thing should have smothered before
I'm just
that.
thinking at that point with the sheer amount of velocity and weight going, if it already has enough underwater to go and puncture bulkheads, it's going through a chain link, whether it's cubed going through the one end or it's just tearing through.
Alright,
The science of deep
forget
blue
going
sea.
through the chain link fence. Early in the film, they talk about the 8-foot fence not being enough.
And it jumped over it.
Yeah, it jumped over that. The fence is now down in the water, so just the barbed wire.
It totally just could have jumped
It could
it.
have just jumped over it.
And we could have had a freaking Free Willy moment.
Yes, but then there's no drama there, people.
That would have been awesome. Like all the
Are
cool
you
debris.
I would have been on that. I would have been on that. I would have been like, let's do it.
Trying to stab him with the
Do
ball.
Free Sharky!
I think that might be that one. That was the movie
When
I
did
wanted.
Free Willy come out?
before this.
Okay, good. Okay, then we're good.
They totally could have done a parody with Free Willy costume.
Or even just an homage to it, like have the shark jumping over LL Cool J.
And now we have
Thomas Jane with
super
the-
shark engineered into the population.
Is this gonna cut after now?
It hasn't brought up anything.
Okay.
However, we have 10 minutes before it wouldn't do so.
So we have 10 minutes. We're gonna start wrapping things down right now.
I just was
Anybody have any
curious. I
final
didn't want to
thoughts?
stop like that.
I like this movie, and I liked it more the second time I watched it. I think the thing that Claire said, it felt like you had two different movies going on, a little bit, and I can see that. But I think my thing is watching the second time around. I was more invested in LL Cool J's character because I had his whole story arc. So he's okay, he's silly, he's walking through the water complaining. I'm worried for him the whole time. Like, I know he lives through the movie, but I'm worried. I'm like, LL Cool J, get out of the water. I like you too much for you to die in this. So I think that actually watching it a second time made me more emotionally invested in his character, which made his story more dramatic for me, which made it more in line with the rest of the movie, I think. I also liked that the doctor was, normally if in that kind of situation you have a male doctor that's like, we have to do this for the science. And yes, of course, that there is a layer of, okay, she's got to be the caretaker for her dad because that's what ladies do. You have to caretake for your family, and that's what her core is. But she was so focused on the science that she was like ignoring the shit that was going around her, and I did enjoy that for being a female character. Normally you get that out of a male character, where he's like, I'm to go with the science and it's for the future generations, and passing like the torch on sort of thing. You don't usually get that out of a female character.
I really like this movie because you can watch it really in two different ways. You can watch it for just a mindless action movie it's just enjoyable to watch. It's entertaining. You can sit down with a bowl of popcorn and not really pay a whole lot of attention and feel good about it. Or you can watch it and it's got, it subverts all these tropes. It's got what Jenny mentioned, basically feminism stuff and thank you. I didn't feel like I needed to repeat everything you said.
Fair enough, I said it 2 seconds ago.
and the black guy lives
Girl
to the
power,
end.
unleash the terror of the deeps.
And you can watch it for all the
I am Kamamoto.
I told you I needed to stop drinking.
That's why I have her beer.
Good plan. So you can get really in depth and pick it apart, but you can just watch it casually as a fun movie, and I like that about it.
Flip this around me. I didn't mind the movie, but this movie spawned the shittiest song in the world by LL Cool J.
It's like a shark fin.
Deepest, bluest, my hat is like a shark fin. Word for word lyrics.
What do we call a metaphor?
Listen, no, I get
Well,
you.
we call it one, but
I walked
doesn't
into
mean it's a
work
good
this
one.
morning humming that.
I didn't say we call it a good
Deepest Lewis.
I texted him right away when I got to that.
I want to hear a recording of Jordan doing a spoken word version of that song.
Look for it, folks. Coming soon.
We will. I mean,
Okay.
must. We need
I
stuff
already
in
was
there.
ambivalent on this movie. My whole thing is, I'm good with the suspension of disbelief. Be consistent in that suspension. This movie wasn't even consistent on the suspension, so that dropped points. Also, my kill list was totally invalidated. I wanted everyone to die, except the evil doctor. I love the thing.
See, and I don't like the thing.
Oh, Brandina? Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the movie before, like the past week before we actually decided to discuss it. Last time I saw it, I was like 11.
Next contestant.
But I will say that
You were not 11. Math. It's a thing. It's a superpower.
It was in 1999.
That
The
is
movie came out in 99. You were
Okay,
at
I came
least
9
14.
older than I thought I was. I have had a couple of drinks. Anyway.
I'm often older than I think I am.
Welcome to being an adult.
I'm often older than I have to.
Anyway, I will say that out of
I'm
all the
often
people
older
that
than I
got
feel.
killed by the sharks in that movie, it took 2 to take out Sam Jackson. Only 1 for everybody else. So I'm wondering if he had that in the contract that was like, oh, it's going to take 2 sharks to take out my ass.
No, it only took 1 to kill him.
No, because he got dragged underwater and then the other came right up and
That
knocked
one
him
was
down.
a death at that point with the sheer puncturing into the torso cavity. He was dead.
2
Listen,
sharks
he
were
still had
related.
to make sure that when he was dead, the shark still had to release Sam Jackson.
I'm just thinking with the sheer amount of force on the rib cage, he would
I'm
have
not
been
saying
dead.
science, Greg. I'm
Yeah, I
saying-
know, but when I go science, I go science.
Next, speaking.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
Nick speaking.
That was it. That was all I got.
Yeah, you definitely weren't drinking light beer.
Yeah, I really like this movie a lot. It's
Yeah.
to me like genre-wise, it relates to like the glut of like weird underwater films that came out after Alien and The Thing, like Deep Star 6 and Leviathan. It's pretty much that, just 10 years later. You know what I mean? With like LL Cool J and Samuel L. Jackson and a little bit of CGI involved. It's fun. It's like it's a fun fuck around
There
movie.
were 14 different
It's
CGI
like it's
movies.
tense
On
and
a
hard.
scale of 1 to Phantom Menace.
Kind of reminds me of
Garbage.
stuff like
That means 1 is a high.
like other stuff that came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like 13 Ghosts remake and shit. Like they used a lot of the same filters and like a lot of the same like camera stuff to produce like tension and shit like that. It was like, but it feels good. I like those movies as well. kind of
Yeah.
in their own right. Like if you don't, in a vacuum, those movies are pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Just like this, in a vacuum. Deep Blue Sea is awesome. Also, compared to other shark movies, Deep Blue Sea is awesome, and I
I
have
was gonna
seen
say I would enjoy Deep Blue Sea whether or not I was in a vacuum.
right?
The only problem
In a
is
vacuum, everything sucks.
In a vacuum cleaner or a vacuum?
because
Alright,
normally
cool.
I'm with other counter.
Oh,
Like, right?
sorry, go ahead, Steph. I just thought, one quick thought about Sharknado at the end.
Get you in a second.
It isn't me incoherently screaming.
As previously stated, I enjoyed this movie enough that I went out and bought the DVD right after I saw it in theaters. So that was after it was out of theaters. I don't have a lot more to add except I hate the shark vision when it's swimming around in the
Yeah,
water.
that's a weird.
Like it's got this weird monocular blurry screen thing. It's like, that's not how sharks look. They have side views.
That's why I'm wondering.
But aside from that one complaint and the total absence of
because of
the skin payoff, good movie. Go watch it.
The Doctor was hot or white underwear.
Yeah. This movie is hands down the greatest genetically altered shark movie ever.
Oh, until Sharknado 6 comes out.
Stop talking about my nightmares.
Unless they're going to make like a live action Street Sharks movie.
Oh man.
Oh, Street Shark.
It's fantastic.
Ah.
It's
Why would
just
you-
enjoyable. It has its moments. It's well acted. It's the trope subversion is phenomenal. It's my favorite part about it. How it takes everything you would expect from like the standard movie formula, where you go, yeah, okay, whatever, let's move on with it, and just kind of sidesteps that just enough to keep you on your toes. What's not to love? What?
No, nothing.
No, and the last thing
I'm
I
moving
wanted
my
to
hand
say
randomly because
it is really interesting for me having last time I watched this movie, Sharknado was not a curse upon my life. How much
Still not a curse upon your life.
it's a blessing. You just don't
it's
realize
not.
it.
You're wrong.
Wrong B word. It's a blight.
Don't pat my head.
I'm not a
Don't-
blessing you.
Don't condescend to me with
I'm not
Sharknado
condescending.
garbage. Anyway, it is interesting to me how much of the character of Carter informed the original characterization of Finn.
Yeah.
Not now, like not 6 fucking movies into this series, but if you look at Carter and then you look at the original version of Finn,
Shark Fin.
I know it's stupid as hell. It's one of the many things that infuriates me. But like, definitely, if I would give the people from Sharknado one thing is if they watch shark movies. I'm not gonna say they did good things with what they watched.
They did fantastic.
No, they didn't.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Motherfucker.
did you say
Didn't
fantastic?
Tara
Crab's
read
right
that?
here. Just let him do it himself, man.
Why do you have to go and shark his jokes?
You don't have to lower yourself. Crab's right here.
If you want to lower yourself from me, I'm okay with that.
Trav just hit on you. Congratulations.
The Wookiee is pleased. Now we have to clean up.
So I think that comes us full circle on Deep Blue Sea.
Because we have a minute left.
We have a man left, yeah. In case you missed it earlier, there is supposed to be a sequel to this coming out next summer, 2018.
Who's this?
I don't know anything more than that.
I super hope LL Cool J's in that.
Fuck
I
yeah.
hope Thomas Jane is, and maybe he'll die this
Maybe
time.
LL Cool J and Sinbad because we haven't seen him in a while.
I know that I've mentioned more than once my feelings on the movie, but I do think that if I watched it again, I would enjoy it a lot more because I think honestly my main problem.
You should watch it again.
Maybe. I think my main problem was I didn't know what I was getting into. I hadn't really heard of the movie. I mean, I had heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it. And so watching it, I was like waiting for things that were happening and expecting things that were happening. Now that I know what it is, I think I'd be able to enjoy the whole thing a lot more. And from the sound of it, most of you guys had already seen it.
Oh,
once.
yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you hadn't seen it. See,
hadn't seen it.
He's okay.
You hadn't seen it.
But oh, I'm sorry.
People were ambivalent about it. They only seen it once.
But yeah,
I also exist in accounts in
I'm
dualistic
interested in seeing it
state.
again because I feel like I might enjoy it a lot more the second time.
So that's kind of us for Deep Blue Sea. Don't forget to join us in 2 weeks' time, when we will be taking on, by viewer request, Legend, starring Tom Cruise and Tim Curry.
I'm only watching one of these.
Made me watch this dang movie.
Oh yeah,
It's awesome.
Not
He
just-
never wears pants throughout the entire thing.
I'm only watching one of them.
No, Legend.
Which one?
Oh my God,
I don't know.
Well, that's a highbrow film.
And
Well,
Oh wait, I got a final thought. I want to add a final thought.
sorry.
Deep Blue Sea.
shorts that go along.
Okay.
Really good you would like.
I love LL Cool J. He made this movie for me. I swooned every time he was on screen. I loved his love for his bird and his giant crucifix and his weird ass strategies. So this movie could have just been about LL Cool J fighting sharks, and I still would have loved it. But I mean, it was cool. The other people were cool.
I want to add one more thing that I thought about and I forgot to talk about because I'm super drunk. There's one scene in this movie that I absolutely loved where Samuel L. Jackson is like, "We could swim for it, guys." And the scientist is like, "No, we can't. They're genetically engineered sharks." He's like, "No, we could make it. The water's kind of murky." And you can absolutely picture yourself in this situation. And you know you have that one friend who would be like, "We could just swim for it because it's a movie and it'll work." And then Sam Jackson gets eaten to disprove his point when he's not even in the water, proving just how bad of an idea it was to try and swim for it.
Translation from a GM standpoint: choo choo, motherfuckers! You're not getting off the railroad.
I absolutely loved that fact of the movie.
We're done.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Oh yeah.
I'm done.
Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again next time. Legend, thank you, Lavina.
My hat is like a shark, yeah.